The snow fell in slow, trembling flakes, carried by a biting wind that cut through the empty streets of a small town in Ohio. The world outside was silent, except for the faint hum of cars passing by and the whisper of the winter air brushing against the windows of a closed diner. On that frozen December night, beneath a flickering streetlight, a woman sat on the curb, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. Her coat was too thin for the cold, her shoes soaked from melted snow, and her eyes, those weary, distant eyes, were fixed on the ground as if she had already given up on being seen. Her name was Hannah Miller, once a smiling young woman with dreams of becoming a nurse, now reduced to a shadow of herself. Life had been unkind, too unkind, a series of cruel twists, the loss of her parents in a car accident, a failed marriage that left her homeless, and a job she couldn't hold on to when her health declined. The world had slowly taken everything from her until she had nothing left but her name and the cold pavement beneath her. And yet, that night, fate had something different planned. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us spread more heart-touching stories like this one. Inside a nearby gas station, Ethan Carter, a single father in his mid-30s, was buying a cup of coffee and a small bag of snacks for his 8-year-old son, Liam. Ethan had just finished a long shift at a construction site. His hands were rough, his face tired, and his mind heavy with the constant balancing act of being both mother and father to his only child. He had lost his wife Rachel to cancer 3 years ago, and though time had dulled the sharpest edges of grief, her absence was a wound that never fully healed. As they stepped outside, Liam tugged at his father's sleeve. "Daddy," he said softly, pointing across the snowy parking lot. "Why is that lady sitting there? She looks so—" Ethan followed his son's gaze and saw Hannah sitting motionless on the curb, shivering. She looked young but worn out, like someone who had aged too quickly from the weight of sorrow. Ethan's first instinct was to look away. People often did. The world had trained everyone to walk past pain, to pretend not to see. He felt that old conflict rising inside him, compassion on one side, caution on the other. He knelt down beside Liam and tried to explain gently. "Sometimes people go through hard times, buddy. Maybe she just needs some space." But Liam's eyes filled with tears. "She's all alone, Daddy. Can we help her? Please?" Those simple words pierced Ethan's heart. There was something pure about the way children saw the world, without fear, without judgment. Just love. He remembered Rachel's words, the ones she had whispered in her final days. "Promise me you'll raise him to be kind, Ethan, even when it's hard." He sighed and glanced back toward Hannah. The snow was falling heavier now, dusting her hair in white. He couldn't walk away, not tonight. He took his son's hand and walked toward her. As they approached, Hannah looked up, startled, her lips trembling from the cold. Ethan knelt down beside her. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked quietly. For a moment she couldn't speak. Her voice cracked when she finally did. I'm fine. Just resting. I'll move soon." But she wasn't fine. He could see that in her face. The exhaustion, the hopelessness, the way her fingers shook as she tried to hide her pain. Ethan removed his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "You look like you could use something warm. There's a diner down the street still serving. Come with us. Let's get you something to eat." She hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not," he said firmly. "Just come on." Liam smiled and held out his small gloved hand. "Come with us," he said, his eyes full of innocent compassion. For the first time in months, Hannah felt something she thought she had lost forever. Warmth, not from the jacket but from kindness. She took his hand, and together they walked toward the diner. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of coffee and fried food. The waitress gave them a curious glance but said nothing as Ethan ordered 3 meals, 2 hot chocolates, and a bowl of soup for Hannah. She sat quietly at the booth, her hands wrapped around the warm mug, tears filling her eyes as she watched father and son talking, laughing softly. Ethan didn't ask too many questions at first. He just let her eat in peace. But eventually, between sips of soup, she began to talk. She told him about the accident that took her parents, about the husband who had left her when she lost her job, and how she had been sleeping in a shelter until it closed 2 weeks ago. "I tried to find work," she said, her voice trembling, "but it's hard when you don't have an address. People stop seeing you as human after a while." Ethan's heart ached as he listened. He knew hardship. He had lived it. But he had never known the kind that stripped you of your dignity piece by piece. Liam reached across the table and handed her a cookie from his plate. "You can have mine," he said simply. That tiny act broke her completely. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you." That night, Ethan drove Hannah to a small motel and paid for 2 nights. "Get some rest," he said gently. "We'll figure out something tomorrow." She didn't know what to say. People didn't just do things like that anymore. She watched them leave, and for the first time in years, she whispered a silent prayer of gratitude. The next morning, true to his word, Ethan returned. He brought breakfast and coffee, and while Hannah ate, he told her about a local community center that sometimes helped people find temporary work and housing. She was hesitant, embarrassed even, but he insisted, "You've got to start somewhere. You deserve another chance." Days turned into weeks. With Ethan's help, Hannah started volunteering at the community center, cleaning, organizing clothes, helping others who came in off the streets. Slowly, she began to rebuild her life. She got a part-time job at a small grocery store, saved every dollar she could, and moved into a shared apartment. But more than that, she found something even more precious: hope. Liam adored her. Every Sunday, she came over for dinner, bringing a homemade pie or flowers she bought with her first paycheck. The 3 of them laughed around the table. And for Ethan, seeing that smile on his son's face made everything worth it. Months passed, and the bond between them deepened. It wasn't romantic. It was something purer, built on shared humanity. Hannah became like family, an aunt to Liam, a reminder that even in the coldest seasons, kindness could still bloom. But life, as always, had one more test. In late spring, Hannah collapsed at work. The doctors found that she had a mild heart condition that needed treatment. Without insurance, the bills were impossible. When Ethan heard, he didn't hesitate. He started a fundraiser online, sharing her story of resilience and the night they met. The post went viral. Thousands of strangers donated, moved by the story of a man, his son, and the woman they helped on a snowy night. Within a week, the entire cost of her surgery was covered. The hospital room filled with cards, flowers, and messages from people she had never met but who said her strength inspired them. When she woke after surgery, Ethan and Liam were there, holding her hands. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "I don't know how to thank you." Ethan smiled. "You already did, by fighting to live." Liam climbed onto the bed and hugged her tightly. "You're family now," he said. That night, as snow fell again outside the hospital window, though spring had already begun, Hannah realized something. The world could be cruel, yes, but sometimes, when you least expected it, the smallest act of kindness could change the course of a life. Months later, Hannah was back on her feet. She got her nursing license reinstated and began working at a local clinic, helping others who had fallen through the cracks like she once did. She often visited schools and shelters to share her story, always beginning with the same line, "I was waiting outside in the cold when a little boy changed my life." Her story became a ripple that spread through the town. People started looking at the homeless differently. They didn't just see strangers. They saw someone's daughter, someone's mother, someone's Hannah. One crisp evening a year later, Hannah stood at the same spot where Ethan and Liam had first found her. The snow was falling again, soft and quiet. She watched the light reflect off the ground, remembering the woman she once was, and the miracle that saved her. Ethan and Liam pulled up beside her. "You ready?" Ethan asked. She smiled warmly, always. As they drove away together, the camera of life seemed to pull back slowly, showing the glowing street light, the footprints fading in the snow, and the 3 of them, proof that compassion could still thaw even the coldest nights. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let's keep spreading love and kindness in a world that needs it more than ever. Comment below, what's one small act of kindness you'll do for someone this week? Because sometimes it's the smallest gesture, A warm coat, a gentle word, or a child's simple plea that changes everything.